people on this phone call. But before we get to our host today, I think we have a new guest with us. If you're a new guest, thank you very much for being here. It's always great to see new faces, and we welcome you to our Friday morning virtual networking session. We will give you an opportunity to introduce yourself and your business to everyone later today, just before we break into our small groups for more direct conversations. If you've been here before, I'll remind you that after we listen to our host today, we'll have all the community news from our director, Liz Hartman, and then we'll be introduced to our new people, and we'll break up into small groups, after which we'll share and do shout outs for the community. So without further ado, as I mentioned, Julia is the smiling face of hospitality in Lake Oswego, and she's connected so many of us. I actually think it'd be harder to find somebody who doesn't know Julia than somebody who does know Julia. And it's my great pleasure to introduce our host, Julia Fowler.
Thank you, Christopher. Thank you, everybody. As Christopher said, I'm Julia, and I own Blue Moon Coffee. And for those of you who are not acquainted with Blue Moon, our original location was in Lake Grove on the corner of Cruz Way and Boone's Ferry for almost 17 years. And it's been at its current location in downtown Lake Oswego for the past 3.5 years. This is Blue Moon's 20th anniversary year and my 10th year as the owner. For those of you who don't know me well, I worked in information technology, mostly telecom, for 21 years. And in 2011, I was laid off from a company that I'd worked at for 7 years, and I decided I wanted to do something totally different than I'd ever done before. And you guys know the rest of the story. I bought a coffee shop. I had never owned a business before. I would never really even worked in food service before. I had no experience at the hundreds of little things you all know go into running a business. It would not be an exaggeration to say that my family thought I lost my mind, but I was determined and I was stubborn. And luckily, I was able to string together small successes at a time. And by the end of year 6, we had increased our gross yearly revenue by nearly 400% of what it was in 2011, the year I came in. So pretty extraordinary times, exciting times, kept me motivated. And I would just like to say that that was possible because of the great community that we have here. From the start, I was surrounded by people who encouraged me and supported me and celebrated me. And at the top of the community support has been the Lake Oswego Chamber of Commerce. I joined the Chamber of Commerce in 2012, and really it was for 3 reasons. I did so for relatively inexpensive access for advertising for my business. I did it for representation at the table for my business interests, locally, within the county, within the state level. And thirdly, I joined for the opportunity to network and get to know other business owners in the community. So joining the chamber, it has been one of the best decisions I've made for my business. In fact, I felt so strongly about that I said yes when I was invited to join a committee. I enrolled in Leadership Lake Oswego, which was an absolutely fantastic experience. And when prompted, I joined the board. So I do want to take a minute to talk about the chamber. A year ago, this week, March 16th, we got the stay-at-home order. And I know you all know this, but the chamber jumped into action. Our executive, Liz, was collating all the real-time information and getting it out to our businesses. She was advocating for all the big requests, as well as the hundreds of small requests from our business. I'm not sure you all know this, but our chamber never closed. The doors were unlocked at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday for our community to come and engage with us in person or on the phone. During that time, I had the privilege of seeing how essential the chamber was and still is. So I just want to say I'm so thankful. And I would like to, ask you if you have the opportunity to share with Liz the impact that her work has had on your world this year, I would invite you to do so. When we look at our community of leaders here, she is at the top of the list, and she's ours. She's our superhero. So let's give a hand for Liz. I could talk about the chamber all day long. But back to Blue Moon. I wanted to come on today because it is the 1-year anniversary of our closure, and Blue Moon has been closed this entire year. And I wanted to share that for the past 10 years, I've had the chance to hold court and get to know our community. Making somebody their first cup of coffee at 6 a.m. while they're standing in front of you in their pajamas, well, let's just say you get to know a lot about people. And Blue Moon has always been and considered themselves in the people business. You get the privilege seeing into their world and what's important to them. You get to witness careers growing and children growing, and you get to hear all you get the benefit of hearing all different perspectives. I love that part of my job, the people part, the most. I will share for me personally. This past year, it's been a huge change not being behind the coffee bar. We were open all 7 days. I worked 100 hours a week. My business was my life, and I do miss it. I don't really miss the schlepping around. I'm getting a little too old for that. But what I really miss is the great community that we created there. While we have been closed this last year, I've had the time to rest and reflect. I've had the time to support other local businesses in our community. I know I've shared with this group before that I've been volunteering over in Washington County with COVID testing locations and providing backup support there. And I've also come to the conclusion that I don't want to go back to the way things were before. I need at least 1 or 2 days off a month. So, it has been a great time of reflection. Additionally, as all you have during this time, I've had time to really evaluate the financial realities of the business that I'm in. I know that you guys understand. My average receipt is $5.75. So there's not a whole lot of margin and cash flow in that. This significant shutdown period and the way it's played out has really made a path back fiscally for my business unachievable. So this morning, I confide in you, my chamber family, that I do not plan to reopen Blue Moon Coffee. It's been an incredible 10 years, and there are 9 of those years I wouldn't trade. And I hope that you'll support me in closing this chapter. I have overwhelming gratitude to everyone who made this journey a time of immeasurable magic, really. Every day I went to work and I got to have high quality touch with people that I care about and interact with. And ultimately, that all cycled back on me and added so much meaning and value to my life. Having this peer group here, I have you like on 3 monitors right now. You know, you guys have been positive and supportive, and you guys know my heart, and you understand my values, and you understand what I need. And well, I'll just wrap it up here because I am looking at my timer. I just want to say that this has been an extraordinary year for everybody, including me, including our community here and the chamber. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank you so much for the years of support for Blue Moon Coffee. And with that, and 30 seconds to spare, I'll turn that back to you, President Boyer.
Oh my goodness, Julia, you are such a class act. I didn't really expect to be presiding over a meeting where you told us that you wouldn't be returning in such a gracious and personable way. So I think that it should be a slightly different meeting, and I'll open it up to anybody who'd like to share just how grateful they are to Julia. So Diane?
Julia, I would try, sometimes successfully and sometimes not so successfully, to get clients that I was meeting with to go to your place if they're in the Lake Oswego area, because it was always such a wonderful experience with you and your staff at the front counter, if you will. Good coffee, good smoothies in the spring and summer, and that always a smiling face. You have been such an active person in this community, and wherever you land, I'm sure you've always been that way. And thank you, and good luck on the next chapter of your life. And do stay in touch with all of us.
Ed, go right ahead.
I just want to thank Julia, because that was a similar type of thing. That was anytime I had to meet somebody, I tried to make it at Julia's, because that's where the fun was. And every time you walk in, it was a high Ed, a big smile, and everything else. And then one year she worked at the farmers market, and she greeted me and my wife every single time we came there. First she greeted me, then she gave me a big hug, and then she gave my wife a big hug. And thank you for being in our lives. It was very meaningful.
Thank you.
All around. And I wouldn't miss this meeting this morning. It would have taken a lot for me to miss this meeting, because I wanted to just see your big smile again.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope I continue to see your big smile.
Keisha, please.
Good morning. So Julia, I've learned so much from you. I've been with the chamber now, I believe, for 4 years. And I learned a lot about the community, things I never knew, living here for about 25 years. So you have so much insight, and you're just so nice. And we're going to miss the coffee shop, but I know that your new chapter will be good for you. We all know what it's like to work a lot. So anyway, I wish you all the best, and I consider you a friend. So we're going to stay in touch.
I'd like to say for all the bad of the pandemic, the good that came out of it for me was getting to have Julia in the office for the first couple of months of the pandemic, because she was calling businesses from there to check in on other businesses as she was closed. And it was absolutely remarkable But I know what I'm really going to miss is what I consider the best cup of coffee in town. I really have appreciated the good coffee, the great service, the smiles behind the counter, most of all, Julia's heart and her really caring for this community in a way that you can't imagine how many people call here to find out when Blue Moon Coffee is going to open, because it's the hub for City Hall and for the businesses and for the neighborhoods of the area. So she is absolutely a treasure. She'll continue to be a treasure. But wow, what a great 10-year run.
Thank you, Liz. Mark?
Yeah, when I saw that Julia was hosting today, I hadn't visited the Lake Oswego Chamber for a while. I've been focusing on Hillsborough lately. That's where I live, and it's just hard to visit all the other chambers. But when I saw Julia was hosting, I made it a point to visit it. I'm so glad I did. I met Julia several years ago, and she even employed one of my coworkers, and it was fun to stop by and see her, see Tiffany then. And I'm not out in the field, but when I always like to make it a point to go by Blue Moon, get a coffee, and just about every time, as you know, Julia was there, so I got to say hi. Miss that, miss the coffee, and I just can't say enough good things about Julia, and wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Catherine, was that your hand being up?
Unmute. Well, good morning, Julia. I think she might be opening another one. I hope another coffee shop. Hopeful, entrepreneurial spirit is what you have, and I just appreciate. I'm kind of sad, but thinking, oh, well, you're gonna not be around, but I think you've got something you're probably planning, because you're such a bright light in this community. And thank you for inviting me. I think what happened was I had not joined the chamber, but I'd been going to Blue Moon. And then Julia invited me, and I'm not sure if you exactly invited me, but you were just so positive and made it a welcoming place for me to come. And it's one of the reasons I'm in the chamber. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Catherine. Kim?
Julia, what can I say? Julia has been a mentor to me since I joined the chamber, which is pretty much when I started my business. And being in the food service community, it's a different animal than a lot of other businesses. So it's been really awesome for me to have Julia to look to for advice and friendship and humor and encouragement. And she's been awesome in general, but definitely for me during this pandemic, because I've been at a loss for a long time as to what to do. And Julia has always remained positive and encouraging. And she's been an inspiration to me in getting back into the community and into networking and into life. So thank you, Julia. And Julia is going to continue to be a bright light in my life, in my business. I'm going to be doing the farmers market this Sunday, and Julia is going to be right there with me. Thank God. So thank you, Julia. And another thing I want to say about Julia, which most of you probably know, but as she's incredibly professional and a beautiful spirit, but she also has a wicked sense of humor, which I completely appreciate. So thank you, Julia, for everything. And I know we'll keep on trucking.
Thank you, Kim, very much. And Carrie, as our newest person who's not been here before, I assure you it doesn't normally go this way.
Wow, what a day to pick to come, Julia, with gratitude and admiration these people have for you. I'm just kind of awestruck. So I'll just I'll get my chance in a few, but wow.
Absolutely. Do we have, I think we have room for one more. Lynn, please go ahead.
One of my heroes of Lake Oswego is Julia. We can't say enough about her. You know, you all mentioned some positive points about her, and she's just been an amazing individual. And we want you around forever. We don't want to lose you. We want to keep you, and we're hoping there's some ways we can do that. And so we love you, and we really appreciate all the things you've done for the chamber, for Lake Oswego, and for all of us. And you know, we want that smiley face around forever. So
Thank you, Lynn.
again, remember, we all love you, and we want to keep you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I think for anybody who knows Julia, this was probably intensely uncomfortable,
Yes.
which is kind of part of the reason why I did it. So yeah, I think that this group very much wants an outlet for telling you that, Julia. And I'll just finish by saying people have talked a lot of things about Julia there. From not everybody knows that, yes, as soon as COVID happened and Blue Moon closed down, Julia ended up going immediately over to Liz and spent more than full time with Liz, calling businesses on behalf of the chamber and checking in on everybody. She does greet everybody by name. And we talked about her wicked sense of humor. Let me just share one event with you. It was almost a year ago. It was just before we closed down because Blue Moon was still open. And it was one of those first sunny days. And you know how happy you are on those sunny days, right? The sun's come out. I walked into Blue Moon and I was actually singing whatever had been left in the car. And Julia looked at me deadpan and simply said, "Save that singing for the shower." So she quashed my hopes and my tiny bit of personal expression, as only a true friend with a wicked sense of humor could. So thank you, Julia, for being a priceless gem in our community. And I think I'll let that bring us to Liz Hartman's announcements and updates.
Well, this is a tough act to follow, but we'll give you a little bit of what's good in the chamber today, which everything is good in the chamber. We're really excited that this is spring break week, and if it's typical of Lake Oswego, you may see an exodus of people, which means the traffic will be slow, and it means you need to visit your favorite businesses next week. Businesses are responding to our PPE announcement yesterday in the newsletter. So a little bit surprising, but I think if you need PPE, send your order into the chamber. We won't be getting it until April, but it looks like people are needing more PPE to keep our community safe. We are in preparation mode right now to put together the flower basket donation program because we need some funds to keep those flower baskets going. And then we're also working on the Community Awards of Excellence and hope to announce dates and times and places to you next week. And we're always working on Friday networking. We're still weighing in when it's going to be time to come to return in person, but it looks like we'll be able to return to ribbon cuttings soon. So keep that in mind if you know of a new business that's coming around. Our most clicked on items in the newsletter the last couple of weeks have been those articles that are submitted by members. So please keep sending us the information that you think is important to businesses. We still have openings for networking hosts. And next week's feature is Kim Clifton, who's a chamber board member. She's our liaison for the Sustainability Network, and she's the owner of Serious Baking, as you heard earlier. Thanks, Christopher.
Absolutely. Thank you, Liz. And Carrie, this is the point right before we break into small groups for a little bit more intimate discussion. This is the point where we'd like to find out a little bit more about you and what you do.
Thank you for having me. And again, just overwhelmed by it. Almost made me cry. My name is Carrie Carlson, and I work for a local landscape company called Valleyscapes, and we're headquartered in Damascus. And as I see Mark Whitney usually at the Friday morning chamber, we've opened up a satellite office here in Hillsborough as well, which is expanding our west side footprint. So if you need landscape maintenance needs, or you have connections with multifamily homes or business parks, we do new install as well. So any questions. My information's in the chat. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, Carrie. Thank you for joining us on such a great day. Welcome. We're happy to have you. And with that, at this point, we'll break into some small groups and chat very briefly. Liz or Julia, do you have a question we should be focusing on in our small groups?
I do not. Julia might.
I'm trying to remember what we talked about last week. We've just passed a big milestone, and we're coming to the end of the first quarter of the year. Maybe in our small groups, we should focus on, we always talk about some short-term goals about how we can support each other today. Maybe the question today should be, how can we support each other's businesses for some short-term goal or event or milestone that might be coming up? So let's noodle that a little bit in our small groups and see what we can come up with.
All right. With that, I'm going to send you off into the atmosphere. You'll be together for 12 minutes. Please select someone to come and report out for your group. And here you go.